What is up, DTube, Steem blockchain? So LCKJ on DTube, or actually on 3Speak, but whatever, still on the Steem blockchain. So she made a video talking about what would you like to get out of Steem. So what I would like to get out of Steem, and when we're talking Steem, of course we talk Steem blockchain, it is actually more transparency. So transparency doesn't mean that it's gonna be a super fun experience, because transparency is gonna show, it's gonna reveal sort of everything. So it doesn't mean that it's like a pleasant experience, but still I would like to get more transparency out of Steem blockchain, where you can see more stuff, um, and uh, and more intelligence also. I would like to get more intelligence out of Steem blockchain, that people are actually using it to practice their own intelligence, and to practice, to basically go look at information and try to think for themselves. I would like to get out of Steem blockchain that people are more starting to think for themselves and evaluate stuff for themselves, and become better at maybe discussions, or maybe it doesn't have to be with a person, but it can be themselves, that their own logic, that they try to get to a place that makes sort of more sense. So the main thing is actually that aspect of more, I would like Steem blockchain to create more transparency. We see sort of the issues, uh, where a lot of, let's say, institutions now, 2019, they're almost all of them trying to hold a person back, and they're not really helping a person growing, because the whole mindset of the human societies has always been that you have to control people if you want to succeed. And now the new thing is, how can you like free people up? And that is like the new definition of success. Like, can you free people up so they can use technology to do whatever it is now they want to do? And that is like the new definition of success. Can you make a network that's more transparent and that's using more intelligence, and that is having everything in a block so people can go look at it? Now, there's this funny thing now, of course, with Steem blockchain. Well, you can actually delete a post, you can edit a post after, but it is, I think it's a step in the right direction, this blockchain sort of movement. And where you really see, maybe you've had a personal experience in life where you dealt with some institution or something like that, and or a company or private company or whatever, and you sort of see that it's not really a level playing field. It's not, because the person is like an entity that's talking to, let's say, an object. In many ways it can in many ways work like an object. It's very, very complex. So for example, with a lot of private companies, internet solutions right now, you're not talking to a human, you're just talking to sort of a machine, and it gives you some sort of reply. So we're moving into this sort of AI age, which means all these old like centralized platforms, they become extremely, you start to see the limits with them. You see how they cannot really evolve into a paradigm where you're not trying to control people all the time. So it's a big issue, this old paradigm where, okay, you have to control everything that people do, or they are gonna go crazy or something like that. It's like this whole, these kind of roles that humans have sort of built society on, they are extremely fragile, and it becomes sort of like a joke where we can use, okay, we have this like artificial intelligence coming now, we have these new intelligent blockchain based systems, shouldn't we like try to move towards that faster? And and when a person really have had an experience like like an experience in the old sort of paradigm, in the old sort of system, and they sort of see the limits of that, and they sort of see, wait a sec, this is not even an issue if we just use this new technology. So yeah, transparency is the primary thing I would like to get more out of Steem blockchain. That also takes it so humans are more being themselves and learning to be themselves, and that takes a lot from a human being, right? But in some ways it's selfish also, because many times like a person can come to this realization that, well, if we don't move into this, like this new technology that's more transparent and that's using more intelligence, if we don't move into that, I'm not really sure how we're gonna succeed on those older systems. They're not really designed for working in more global ways. They're way more locally organized, where the influence is tied up in some form of local leadership that is running a few web servers somewhere, and it doesn't make so humans sort of feel respected. It doesn't become adult communicating with adult. It becomes this sort of silly nonsense in many ways. Now, intelligence and trying to build these intelligent systems, it's a bumpy ride for sure. It's a bumpy ride, and that's why I enjoy video, because I think video sort of smooths it out, and I think the video will eventually will sort of help people to sort of realize that these older systems that mainly worked in like 100% logic based systems, they're gonna see the sort of the limitations of that cannot be, like, a word is a word. It's not, it has no existential reality. So it exists in a, and that a word is a sound, and that people create different meanings when they hear a word, and the people should sort of start to realize that people have different sort of experiences of life. And I really hope that Steam blockchain can sort of help that people sort of realize that people are coming from different experiences. While if when you're used to seeing people, when you're seeing less, when you and text, you can actually perceive less. If it's just text, you can't perceive the person, you can't perceive the environment that they're in, so you're perceiving less, and it's way easier to come to the wrong conclusions. And that's something that can happen super much when people have sort of limited data. So every person right now, they are their own sort of independent island in terms of the data that they've gathered about the world, and nobody's really sitting on the complete set of data that they actually would need to be able to have a full understanding of other people's experiences. So a lot of this is like a data problem, and a slow computing power problem that people, when people sit on small amounts of data, everyone is like pinging their data to other people's data, and it becomes this like interference thing, where people realizing, oh, you're sitting on different data than me, oh, you have another data. And then eventually I think artificial intelligence is going to come in and really fix this, so people have the perfect data that they actually should have, and that truth becomes authority. Authority can never be truth, because truth should be authority, you know. And that and that's not something that's the whole sort of movement. I think a lot in this blockchain era, that people want to move more towards truth than authority is truth. So this is a completely different way of sort of looking at things, and the main change happens because people have more access to data, they have access to better information, and then they make better, more sensible sort of decisions, and they're using other technology solutions, for example, decentralized blockchain solutions. So people see the bigger view of this. So I think this is actually something that a lot of people want to get out of Steem blockchain. If you can have the best, like, do you actually like, you're perceiving data, right? So even when people input data, it's just data, right? So if you can have an intelligent system that just gives you the best data possible, and the best experience possible, and give you access to the best opportunities possible, clearly that's kind of your end goal, what you sort of want to move towards, because when you have that, you can sort of focus on larger things. And uh, and I do think the Steem blockchains can sort of help moving stuff into that direction. I still haven't seen another blockchain that can do it the same way. So Avalon blockchain and Steem blockchain are the superior ones at the moment, I think, because they're looking at how can you make a better experience for the human beings that actually are using these systems, and how can you sort of help them empower others. That is what I think is what's going to shift most people's sort of views on things, when people sort of can realize, oh, you can actually get some real value instant from other people in a connected network. Yeah, that's what I want to see in Steem blockchain. More intelligence, more transparency, and that people have this sort of paradigm shift that, for me, it's kind of hard for me to see it happen to sort of other blockchain networks, but we're probably going to see some innovations. So yeah, what I want to talk a little bit about today. Have a great day, DTube and Steem blockchain. Bye bye.